Hi, everyone. And I hope all you Blues and all you fans are happy to see this man back. Vaughnie's back with me. We said we'll do an end of season review, but I think we're going to double it with end of season and a new season review. How you doing, Vaughanie?
I'm good, mate. Yourself?
I'm very well, thank you, Vaughanie. Very well. I am intrigued to hear what your thoughts on the back end of last season, because we done obviously a podcast kind of in the middle, didn't we? It was kind of in the middle, nearer the front end, and Rafa Benitez was manager.
Yeah.
At the time, and at the beginning, he'd had a good start. Let's be honest, it was one of Everton's best starts in the Premier League. And then it went horribly wrong. So why don't we take it from there? It going horribly wrong. Who did you want to be manager after, obviously, the club eventually sacked him?
Well, of the candidates that were being touted at the time, I was very firmly in the Lampard camp. Our options were very limited, obviously, because of the current nature of the club or whatever. I don't see it as being any type of big draw to any top name manager. But that said, there wasn't that many around. Obviously, the usual candidates, Jose and people like that. But realistically, they're never going to come to Everton in its current state. They're big club managers, and unfortunately, at the moment, we're not in that category. Yeah. So I was happy with Frank. I didn't want to. Don't even remember the other fella's name. He was on Sky Sports, sort of trying to sell himself to the fan base. Don't even remember his name, to be honest. And the French guy I'd never heard of.
Yeah.
So I'm a sort of go with what you know type of guy. Do you know what I mean? And so Frank, young, up and coming manager. He was a fantastic footballer, and I was assuming that his football philosophy as a player would continue into him being a manager. With the correct plays, he would play my kind of football. So I was all for him. Of the people we could have gone for.
Yeah, I liked it. I must say, I liked the appointment. I liked the fact that it was somebody fresh, Vaughanie, somebody who didn't have any ties, obviously, to Merseyside. And you could look at him and see what he's done at Chelsea, see what he's done at Derby, etc. And he's a forward-thinking manager. And you look at the backroom staff who he brought in, all knowledgeable, all very, very smart, very sharp. So I liked it. I thought, great, give him a go. Because this Everton team squad has got talent, but the problem was they seemed to be in a hell of a rut that they couldn't get out of, Vaughanie.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, the talent, I think, I've got to be honest, my personal opinion is I think we've got limited talent in our squad. And if you've got limited talent and the application is not correct, then we're going to struggle. And I think that's what happened for the majority of the season. And yes, I've read articles and seen videos of players who have come out and said our confidence was rock bottom. And, I understand that. And when you've got no confidence, it will affect your application because, there was a thing going on, and anything a player was trying to do, if it didn't come off, he was just getting loads of stick.
Yeah.
And Frank seemed to come in and change that. Eventually, shall I say? Eventually.
Yeah, it took a bit of time, Vaughanie. You know as well as I do. When the confidence is affected, it seemed to be the home form, which is what saved the club in the end, picked up. But that wretched away form, Vaughanie, just couldn't shake it, could they? The team couldn't shake it.
No, they couldn't, mate. And I think a lot of players were affected in various ways. I mean, like for instance, I use Michael Keane as an example. I think Michael Keane as a centre-half has got ability as a centre-half. Mm-hmm. But what I think Michael Keane in particular suffers with, if he makes a mistake, we saw him fall to pieces every time he made a mistake. And it was painful to watch at times. And I think it was the Norwich game when he scored the own goal. There was one game where he scored an own goal. I can't remember which it was. It might have been Norwich. And I felt for him at the time because it looked like he was going to start crying. That's how badly his confidence was affected. And with him in particular, I think his confidence was affected the minute he got left out of Gareth Southgate's England squad at the back end of the, sort of the previous few months.
Yeah.
He wasn't playing badly for Everton. He got left out the squad, and then he just sort of seemed to go to pieces once he was omitted from the England squad. Then he couldn't do anything right.
Yeah. It's difficult, Vaughanie, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not blaming him. I'm not picking out individuals to slaughter. I'm just saying he's just a particular example of it.
Of confidence.
Yeah. Because when he's playing with confidence, and he's proved it in his time as Everton, when he's playing with confidence, and I think alongside the right partner, he's proved he's more than capable.
Well, I think that is the key. Having the right partner. I think that the back four has been so disjointed, Vaughanie. It has been so disjointed. Haven't really been able to field a full back four, or should I say back five, in 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Any stretch of run, you haven't been able to do that. So whenever you're having different partners coming in and, different fullbacks and different centre halves, and Mina comes in, next minute he's out injured, and, this one, that one. It was a whole mess, wasn't it? It was a whole mess.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, it was a mess. And as I say, Michael Keane's proved to me over the past time he's been at Everton, if he's with the right partner, like for instance, when he was with Jagielka, for instance, he was confident in Jags. So he just played his natural game.
Yeah, Jags talking through it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think he has confidence if he plays with Godfrey, because Godfrey's got pace. The others, I'm not so sure he's as confident in his. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they too are liable to make what I call amateur mistakes, which can lead us to conceding a goal, as was proved the other night. And once we go behind, then we're in big trouble. Sorry for interrupting you there, mate. Other than the Crystal Palace game.
Well, Vaughanie, what I want to do is I want to touch on just the uptick in form of, you could see the imbalance. The Burnley game away, where Everton were cruising, and then all of a sudden it was like the Keystone Cops at the back.
Absolutely.
Then you play Manchester United at home. Solid performance. You win the game 1-0. You got Chelsea. You play Chelsea, and then we're coming into, all right, you get yourself safe, and then you play Brentford. Yeah. And then those games just show you how the confidence and the crazy form guide, how Everton were. But as you just mentioned, there's nothing culminates it more than the Palace game at home.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'm sure I wasn't alone. At 2-0, I thought, that's it. We're done. That's come from many years of watching Everton, and that's what Everton do. But, yeah, they dug in that night. But to me, they did what I would expect them to do. I expect them to be like that every week.
Every week, yeah.
I know they can't win every game. They won't win every game, but I expect that type of commitment for 90 minutes in every game. And if we had applied ourselves in that way, this is just my personal opinion, across the season, and I know we're talking this to the end, we wouldn't have been in the trouble we were in.
100%.
And it proved by the games we won. And it was just ones. Everton have always had this habit. It probably stems back when you was playing for us, mate.
Yeah, maybe right.
that the ones we're expected to win are the ones we struggle. The ones we're expected to get a shoeing in or a good hide in, they're the ones where we'll stand up and go, all right, let's have a go, because we've got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
And, you know, Goodison, when things are not good, can be quite an intimidating place, as I'm sure you can
I could attest to that. Yeah, I could attest to that. But one thing I will say, Vaughanie, I'm gonna leave the fan base till last because they were incredible.
Oh, absolutely, mate. Yeah.
But there were, for me, there were 4 players, maybe 5 players who I thought really stepped up to the plate. Richarlison was one. Jordan Pickford was another.
Yeah.
Anthony Gordon, who is the youngster of the group, who I thought he was immense, and Alex Iwobi, who I thought really stood up and shone.
I couldn't disagree with you, mate. I would pick the same players. I think if we go through them, Richarlison, he's always been our talisman, if you like. He's our go-to player. I mean, you hear, for me, he got a lot of unfair stick from certain quarters, particularly in the media. You know, for they say his antics or he's rolling around, and we had that ridiculous incident on Sky Television when you've got an ex-professional criticising him, when it was quite clear to all and sundry that when he first came to the club, he did have those little traits where it would frustrate you, and he would do that sort of, he'd get touched and he'd be rolling over like he had his leg chopped off. But I think the last season and a half, he'd cut those antics out and he'd become an even better player for the team. Because for me, he was our most, other than the goalkeeper, he was a specialist. Yeah. He was our most important player because of his work rate, his attitude,
his goals,
and the fact that he could get you to get you to goal. He'll score little, you know, the bitty ones, but he'll also create a goal himself, or he has the ability to create a goal himself. And just by him worrying defenders, can create goals.
Create space and goals.
Yeah, that's what he did towards the end. You know, if you look at a couple of goals that he scored, I think a couple were like deflections but that doesn't matter.
Don't matter. You know, you've got to be there. You've got to be there.
It doesn't matter how it goes in, as long as it goes in.
Yeah, you've got to be there.
His movement. He was there, especially the one. Was it the Palace one? Yeah, but it was
Palace 2-2 to equalise.
Nobody knew it took a deflection until you saw the replay.
Yeah.
To us, it looked, from when I sit in the park and from when it looked like he got it, stepped inside the defender and just biffed it in the bottom corner.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Same with the Leicester one, the equaliser.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think he is going to be a massive loss for us, but we'll come on to that.
We're going to definitely come on to that.
Jordan Pickford. We'll go back to Jordan. Yeah. Pickford was outstanding. He gets stick for... I don't know why he gets stick, mate. He gets stick from certain quarters, not connected to Everton mainly.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking, do you not watch these games? Because he hasn't put a foot wrong ever for England.
No, you're right. Yeah.
And he's never... He was dodgy when he first came to Everton. You know, he did make silly mistakes. He did play up to opposition fans when he shouldn't have done. And it cost him.
Yeah.
But obviously, you know yourself, we all know, with experience comes maturity, or with maturity comes experience. And he stopped all that. He concentrated on being a goalkeeper. And for the minute he did that, I would say for the past 18 months, he's been Everton's most consistent player, which culminated in him making fantastic saves that kept us in the division.
I mean, that Chelsea game. That Chelsea game especially, Vaughanie.
Absolutely.
He was outstanding.
And it wasn't just that double save, which was the save of the season. He made 3 or 4 other ones in the same game, which on their own were top saves. They were just overshadowed by that one absolutely world-class double save.
Yeah. I mean, that save from, what's his name? Rudiger. That Rudiger. That save from Rudiger.
Right down the bottom on the bottom post.
Yeah. That's a goal.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah. So
and you keep it. You know, I mean, I watched the best. You played with one of the best. Now, that's what Neville used to do. Yeah. Neville used to save goals that won us matches.
Yeah,
and he did that day. Anthony Gordon, yeah, he's improved a hell of a lot. I think he's playing with a lot more confidence now. I think at this moment in time in his career, he's only a young lad. He's still very raw. Mm-hmm. And I think his decision-making and his final ball are the things he needs to work on the most. I watched him the other night, and people say it's only a friendly, but you do the same things in friendlies as you do in Premier League matches. Of course. And sometimes I think Anthony plays too safe. You know, when he's in attacking areas, he's had, now, I'm not sure whether he's the quickest or whatever. He doesn't look slow.
He is quick. He's quick.
So I would like to see him now at this time in his career, like to get the ball and go, come on then, mate. Let's see what you've got.
Let's have a race.
Yeah, because I see him get it and he looks to go and then he thinks, oh, better Adams in case I lose it. And he'll play safe. I'd rather him have a go in the last. I'm not talking about on the edge of our box.
No, on the last third. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think if he can get that into his game, and then, as I said, I think the final ball will come with maturity and more experience, because it's about, isn't it? Right, I've done that bit of the job. Now, calm down, do the second part of the job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that will come. I think personally.
I think so too. I think it will come. I thought some of his performances were very mature, considering Vaughanie, the extent of what was happening. Because let's be honest, as you said, there were times Evertonians thought, hold on a minute, we're in real trouble here. For a young lad like that to come in and put in some of those performances, I thought it was very
absolutely makes it. You couldn't fault his work rate in any game. Can't fault. Where, as you said, in the circumstances, there were far more senior pros who, I wouldn't say wilted. I'm not going to use that phrase against a professional footballer.
Well, you didn't see the same. You didn't see the same commitment. Let's just put it that way.
Absolutely. And I'm absolutely convinced that Frank is the reason Alex Iwobi became a completely different player to me, because I think we spoke. I don't know whether we spoke on camera or privately last time.
Privately.
Yeah, and I wasn't enamoured by him. Let's put it that way. Yeah. And him being an ex-Arsenal player, and I know you've got a affection for the Arsenal as well. So I didn't want to be too critical. And obviously, you probably know the lad, so you know what I mean. But to me, he became a completely different player under Frank. He went from a player who really looked as if he didn't want to be in Goodison Park.
He was on the periphery, wasn't he? Yeah. He was on the periphery. He'd be on the ball, but he wouldn't take a game by the scruff of the neck. But once Frank Lampard
most of the time, yeah, absolutely, mate. I mean, I think Frank just said, listen, believe you are the player you were when you first broke into the Arsenal side. Because I think, if I remember correctly, I think he made his debut at Goodison, or one of his very first early games was at Goodison, and we got spanked.
Scored, didn't he?
And he scored.
Yeah,
and he was outstanding.
Goal. Yeah.
And he was outstanding because he was up, he was down, he was everywhere. And he has put those type of performances into the back end of the season, where for me, it's gone from when, I'll be honest with you now, when I used to see his name on the team sheet, I used to go, oh no. But if I see it now, when the back end of the season, I'd be going, well, you can't leave him out, because he's doing everything we would want him to do. Yeah. And that's what we wanted to see when he first came.
Yeah.
So And I think you can tell in his whole demeanour, even now with his social media posts and messages, he's feeling it.
He's feeling the confidence, isn't he? He's feeling the confidence. He's feeling the love, and he's feeling that his manager trusts him. I think, Vaughanie.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, he has had the odd erratic performance in the back end of the season, and also again, I think his final ball could be better. But again, hopefully that will come with Frank just saying, just keep at it, lad. Just keep at it.
Yeah.
And yes, those 5 players I couldn't knock. I think you absolutely spot on with the analysis of those 5 players for the back end of the season.
Well, Vaughanie, let's get to the most important, the fans. Listen, I've got to tell you, I've walked down that road, and I've been mobbed down that road, and it's been so heartwarming to me. You know my affection and love for Everton. But as a player, I have never seen anything like what was going on there. The fan base really came out and made it blue hot, I call it. It was blue hot down there, turning up in their thousands, willing the team to win. There was even dog surfing going on. It was going on here. Willie, tell me your thoughts on that.
That's Evertonians for you, mate. I mean, if I said I didn't go do all that. Family members did. My younger family members did, and my cousin took his lad, and even my other half, she went with her daughter up there one day. And at first, I'll be perfectly honest with you, and people might call me miserable, grump, or negative, or that class.
I'd call you miserable old grump.
But I was, when I heard about all this, I was saying they shouldn't need motivating. If the professional athletes, if they can't motivate themselves, but it worked. So when it worked, I was all fully behind it, but that can't go on for every game of this forthcoming season. But last season, our fans, it was like playing with 12 men.
Yeah.
Even away, as well as I do, because I've been in the crowd and you've been on the pitch. Everton's away support is second to none.
Yeah.
Even when you go away, when you go to away games, you don't have the same sort of, negativity is not the right word I'm looking for, pessimism, as you do when you're going into Goodison at times. Away days are away days, and you go there to have a few beers, have the crack, and just see
your team perform. That's what you want. Yeah. You want to see your team perform. Yeah.
But the whole day, it's a day out and all the rest of it. When you come in on a home game, for a lot of us, you're specifically going to the game to support your team. And when I see people who I perceive are not giving us everything we're giving them, then I think that's where the crowd turns at times.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of that last season. Back end of the season, didn't exist, because everyone, from the minute the supporters got on board with the flares and the smoke and the greeting the team coach, it must have been fantastic.
Oh, as a player, oh my God, as a player, coming into that must have been. I mean, I was watching it. I was getting goosebumps watching it. Yeah. I'm covering quite a few of the Everton games, and I'm seeing it happen, and I'm like, the scenes are just incredible. As a player, this gives you, extra lung power. It gives you extra confidence. Mm. It's amazing.
Yeah, knowing that you're, every one of them, even the ones who may have been critical of you previously, now know the dire situation, excuse me, that we found ourselves in, and there could be no negativity.
There's no room for that.
I'm sure you noticed, because I did, even when passes were going astray, what would normally be with a groan was met with a cheer of encouragement, or a roar of encouragement, as if say, "Don't worry, lad, keep going."
Keep going, yeah.
And that lifted them.
That got them over the line, Vaughanie. I've got to say, that got them over the line.
I said that, if you're part of Everton's, like Lampard, who is, Frank's used to being at the top. Frank's been there, seen it, done it.
Yeah.
I know his assistant manager, Neil, is it Neil Clement? No, it is Neil Clements, isn't it?
Paul Clement. Paul Clement.
Yeah, Paul Clement, sorry. Yeah. Paul Clement has been at Real Madrid, been there, seen it, done it. But I even think they were...
Ashley Cole, all of them were like, wow. Wow.
So imagine, we said this, I said, I'd use it as a motivational tool, and I'm sure Frank will. Imagine if we won something. Imagine.
Vaughanie, I'm old enough to not remember the days where Everton were right there, winning stuff. Yeah. Probably got robbed of the opportunity to win the big one in Europe because of what happened with us getting banned, etc.
Yeah.
But I remember what it was like going to Goodison.
Well, I was
with that confidence. You know what I mean? So,
well, I remember, Kev, at that time. I was a player myself, but I was injured. I had a really bad injury, and I was out for a while. And it just coincided with the 84, 85, like that period of glory for Everton.
Yeah.
I went to many games, my family backed me up. I went to many games on crutches.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was 21 and it went on to the 21 to the 24. You know, at the back end of it, I started playing again. So we didn't see as many games as had in the season we were dominating.
Yeah.
So I know what that's like. And I think I commented on that in the last
pod.
Last one we did. My lad is 23 now. I've got a lad who's 31 and I've got a lad who's 23. I just want them to feel how I felt at that time. Just once. Because I can then justify them being Evertonians. If you know.
I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean, because not that it's selfish, Vaughanie, but you've got the feeling. That feeling will never leave you.
No. Yeah.
Well, they haven't felt it yet.
Yeah. No, they haven't. And my youngest lad, my eldest lad, he went through the phase that my youngest lad is going through now, but obviously he's a lot older, and he doesn't go to as many games now because of his work commitments. Yeah. He can only go ad hoc games, you know.
Yeah.
The youngest one, he's Everton mad.
Good.
He's Everton mad. He's a reminder of how I was when I was his age.
Right.
But I see the hurt in his eyes when, particularly with what's just happened, because I remember him when we went to Atalanta. He went out to Atalanta and we just got absolutely slaughtered, and he phoned me up and he was nearing tears saying, Dad, why is this happening to us? The worst day of my life. And maybe he'll give me some stick for saying this if he sees this podcast, but 2016, when we lost that semi-final, he walked out of Wembley with tears in his eyes. And that is the one and only time I really hated Everton Football Club that day, because we got ourselves so close.
Yeah.
And I thought this could be the one for him. And then we go and do what Everton do in the last minute. And he was fighting it. He was fighting them, because I think he would have been 17, I think. Yeah, he was 17, because he was, a youth becoming a man. So he didn't want to be
a man. Yeah. But
I saw tears in his eyes, and I want him. I want to see tears in his eyes again, Kev. But I want to see tears of joy.
Tears of joy.
Yeah.
Vaughanie, I was there. I was at the game, and I saw friends of mine who are big fans crying. Yeah. Because I know how much it means. But what I want to do, Vaughanie, I want to take you back to that first half against Palace. Because Everton didn't start the game too bad, but it just seemed Palace scored at the right times, and Everton just, it seemed as though the lapse in concentration in the first half twice just came back to haunt Everton again.
As I said, there's a thing with Everton. Everton do what Everton do. And Everton did what Everton do the first half of that game. And what I was talking, remember we were talking earlier on about people make mistakes and then the confidence just drains out of them. Our 2 goals, I'm sure you'll agree, the 2 goals we conceded were absolutely abysmal.
Yeah.
If the 2, worldies.
You hold your hands up, don't you? You hold your hands up.
Well, they were goals that I wouldn't have expected a decent youth, amateur youth team to concede. A free header, completely free header, unmarked, and then that, to use your phrase, the Keystone Cops nonsense for the second goal. You know what I mean? Okay, Jordan maybe could take a little bit of the blame, but then he made another fantastic save as a result of his own mistake. Fair enough, but he made the save, and nobody reacted. And then the next thing you know, we're 2-0 down, and the crowd, I'm sure you were there, the crowd went from, it reminded me a little of Bayern Munich, to be fair. The crowd went silent for a few seconds, and then all of a sudden, they got the voice again to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But I won't lie to you, at half time, I've sit in my seat for years, and it's all the same people.
Yeah,
have sat around me, and we're all friends now, if you like. We all, first name terms, all the rest of it. And every one of us just turned around and said, "We're gone. That's it. Can't see this scene."
Pulling it back.
Funnily enough, in '94 and '98, I was never as worried as I was at that point. That night. And then Everton do what Everton do.
Vaughanie, I remember at half time, and I think I put a tweet out saying Everton will come back. Next goal is really important, because if Everton get it, the momentum shifts again. But it was just a matter of the way they ended the first half, the way the first half went. You're saying it because of love for the club and stuff like that, but I'm hoping somebody needs to step up, Vaughanie.
Yeah.
Second half starts, Vaughanie, and who steps up? Michael Keane, of all people.
Yeah, and what a finish.
What a goal.
What a finish. You and I, as a centre forward, would be proud of that finish.
Oh, yeah, big time.
But, I think the biggest thing that changed that game.
Dele Ali.
Absolutely.
Dele Ali coming on.
We saw, for that 45 minutes, the player he can be.
Yes.
To me, he just dictated. He dictated the game from the minute he come on the pitch. And it was like he was the one who'd said, "Don't worry, guys. I got this.
I got this." Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And he came on. And, Evertonians have a liking for a particular type of player. Evertonians like an all-action, run around, get stuck in here, that type of player in the main. And we've had many of them, and they've all been brilliant. Dele Alli's not that type of player, I don't think. Yes, he will cover ground. Yes, he will do what is needed, but he's not going to be tearing all over the pitch in one corner in our goal here today. To me, that's not his style. His style is get on the ball and make things happen. And then if I can create something, I will then try and get on the end of it. And he never had the opportunity. I think he had a couple of half chances in previous games. But on that Palace game, he showed me there was a lot of doubters. Do we want him? And
what have we brought him in for? Yeah.
And I thought, well, based on that performance, yes, he's still a player. So yes, I would want him for this season.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that he's still here, because there was a lot of speculation, wasn't there, in the closed season about who's going here or he claused this or not paying that money. I'm glad he's still here.
Yeah.
And that night he dictated the game for Everton.
Yeah.
And he was the one who allowed us to get forward and create the goals we created. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he should get every credit for that.
He's a threat. Yeah. And the thing is, now Crystal Palace had another threat on the pitch.
Yeah.
They had something to worry about. But Dele Ali, he's a smart footballer. Not only is he a threat by getting in the box, etc., as you quite rightly said, Vaughanie, he's a threat on the ball because he's intelligent. Listen, this guy's an England international. He's a young player, but he's smart. He knows what to do. And I thought he helped the team really push up that pitch. So Michael Keane scores, Vaughanie. Then Richarlison scores.
Well, the mayhem began then, didn't it? And then you started to get a bit of belief. We did start to get it. And then we started to create a couple of chances. I think we had a couple of chances where a couple of headers which we could have done better with. I think Michael Keane had one, I think. I think Rondon had one as well. And you're thinking, you know, is it going to happen? And the pessimist in you says it's Everton. No, it's not going to happen. But as was seen by the scenes when that goal went in, you know, that's Everton in a nutshell. That's everything about Everton.
Do you know what, Vaughanie? I'm so pleased it was Dominic Calvert-Lewin as well, because he had a horrendous time with injury.
Yeah.
And finally got himself back fit. And to score that goal, especially in front of the Gladys Street, I mean...
Yeah.
What did you do? What did you do, Vaughanie, when that went in?
Firstly, I got mobbed by all types of people. And people are kissing me, I'm kissing people, and it's one of them, you know. Yeah. Me and my lad are hugging each other, jumping round. You're getting emotional, you know, and then you think, how long to go? Well, the first thing I did, first thing I did do is I looked at the linesman.
Yeah.
And I looked at the screen.
Yeah. To see if it was possibly offside.
And I said to them, as I say, it's a bit of a joke when I'm a prophet of doom, you know what I mean? And I just said, hang on. Wait for VAR. VAR hasn't come up yet.
Yeah.
And anyway, obviously it didn't come up. But at the end, when I was talking about my lad being in tears, I was.
Yeah.
I said, I'm not ashamed to admit it.
Yeah. No, definitely not.
Not out of celebration. Relief.
Relief, yeah.
And I saw a lot of what I thought was unfair press given to us about, we celebrate. Yeah, that comes from across the park, or I'm not bothered what they've got to say. But I saw it a little bit in the press, you know, about celebrating. You shouldn't be celebrating
staying up,
staying on, and I'm all for that. We're not celebrating; it's relief.
It's relief, yeah, sheer relief.
Sheer relief. Do you know what I mean? And yes, there was one or two might get carried away. You know,
well, there always is one or two. Let's be honest.
At the end of that celebration, if you want to call it that, or that reaction, or that pitch invasion, there was no malice in that whatsoever. None. Do you know what I mean? Not as far as I could see.
Listen, I thought it was conducted in obviously the best circumstances. Obviously, there was the incident with Patrick Vieira, which, by the way, I think the security should have had an alternative, because they know if Everton win, the opposition have to get across the pitch. There are alternative ways to get round the back. You know it, and I know it, Vaughanie.
Yeah.
And you have to, even if you have to take them, you know, round the back of the stand. That's what you've got to do.
Yeah.
Patrick Vieira shouldn't have to run the gauntlet across the pitch.
No, he shouldn't. I totally agree with that. But he chose to do that, mate. He didn't have to. And this is where I'm not condoning what went on. I'm not. But my view is, had Patrick Vieira, well, it's sort of a devil's advocate question or whatever, because had they not have lost, we would have gone down. But I think his head had gone because his team had squandered the 2-0 lead against a team he thought were his team, well, less
his team were better, yeah.
And
Vaughanie,
Patrick Vieira,
I get that. Vaughanie, I get that.
So I would ask, based on the situation, yes, I totally agree with everything you said. There should have been other measures in place. You could have gone round the back of the family enclosure, across the front of the park end, and you're away.
That's right.
That would have been the route they should have been given anyway. If you're planning that, you should be saying, if Everton win, listen, Patrick, if Everton win, this is your route off once you come off.
But Vaughanie, my point is this. Saying it is one thing, but you still have to implement it.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So if I'm talking about the implementation of it. Yeah. Once the game finishes, the security details should have been in place. Right, Patrick, this is the way you go. And they should have just taken him away. So that incident across the pitch don't happen. Because you know, and as well as I do, just through sheer relief and emotion, people are going to go on the pitch.
Absolutely. And he must have known that too. So that's where I'm critical of him. No, I totally agree with the points that have been made. Football, the managers, players should not be in any way under any threat of danger or harm at all in their place of work.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. But part of me can't help but think he's not done himself any favours there. You know what I mean? Well, look, he strolled out when it was at its height. And then,
but there's nowhere else to go. This is the problem.
Well,
and this is the argument I have. Look, if the fans are going to come on, I don't want to see anything happen like that on the pitch, because let the Evertonians enjoy the moment.
Yeah.
And you just take the opposition around the back and then.
Oh, absolutely.
And I know it wasn't as serious as what happened at Forest, and Sheffield United. Nothing like that, and I get that, and I'm pleased it wasn't as bad. But just that confrontation, I don't want that to take up too much.
No.
But I'm just saying, I know what the Evertonians are like, and I'm going to be honest. The scenes, that was a blip on the radar, because the scenes were fantastic. And you know what, Vaughanie, Frank Lampard got it.
Oh yeah, I think that's why he's endeared himself to Everton, and he's not been here that long. He's a London boy. He's been at the top. He's won everything. He's played in World Cups, and during his career, Everton have only ever been an also-ran.
Yeah.
So you would. From the way he comes across, he's not that type of fella, but you could understand there are certain individuals out there who could be. Well, it's Everton. I've been there, seen it, done it.
Yeah.
Big deal. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he totally gets the club, doesn't he? I think he does.
He does. I think he really gets it. And I think the fan base realise he gets it.
Yeah.
That's why they really came out in force.
Yeah. And, for him to be celebrating, I use that word celebrating again. It's wrong word to use, but you know exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
To engage with the fans in the way he did that night is what I want to see as
from a manager. From your manager. Yes.
That's as an Evertonian, that's what I want to see from the man who's putting our players on the pitch. Because if he's got that much enthusiasm and that desire, then hopefully he can pass it on to them. Whether they take it on board or not is a different thing. But if it's there with him, he can say, I've done my best. Do you know what I mean? I've done my best. And it was just the way, even all his interviews, even when we sort of things started to pick up, he sort of tried to keep a lid on the, let's not go overboard. It's just game after game after game.
We're not done anything yet. Yeah.
Keep it. And I think he's tremendous. Frank, I really do.
So Vaughanie,
yes, mate.
We move on to, now we're in pre-season. There's a new season. Everton have stayed up. There's new season optimism.
Is there?
There is, because it's the new season. Obviously, Frank Lampard gets a pre-season now with the team.
Yeah.
They've brought in a really good player, I think, in James Tarkowski. I really like him. I like him as a player. There's takeover talk, and there's always new signings needed. So let's wrap it up talking about what's to be. What's your thoughts?
Well, I know you're aware of this. I watched them the other night, and I know it's only pre-season and all the rest that goes with it. But I think the same problems we had last season still prevail in terms of the playing squad and the playing style. The fans got us over the line the end of last season. Now, that's not going to be the case. Well, it might be August the 6th, that you might have a parade and all that going on. But that's not going to be the case every season.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to single out individuals at all now when I make this criticism. But when my style of football, the football I like teams to be able to play football, keep the ball, pass it to one another. The midfield players get beyond forwards. Defenders be able to bring the ball out and maybe create, play through the lines, as it were.
Yeah, mismatches, play through the lines, yeah.
And I know that is not always can always be the case with every club. Do you know what I mean? You have to have the players to do it. And my biggest worry is, right at this moment in time, it could all change come August the 6th. But I think Frank has a certain style he wants to play. And that will be the style that brings him success. At this moment in time, I don't think we've got the players capable of playing he wants to play. I see. I don't know about your views on this, because you played sort of in the late 90s, late 80s into the 90s. For me, two things. Well, one particular thing that annoys me about Everton, and every manager's done it for the past however many years, zonal marking drives me crazy, mate. It's especially with the personnel we've got. It's quite clear that they don't understand it, or they're not bothered about it, because we concede goal after goal after goal from set pieces.
Yeah.
And it's unreal. We scored, the other night was the same. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Me, I'm old school. I'm sure, like, you played under George Graham, and I know Howard Kendall would be the
ball's there, go and edit.
Yeah, we would say, and when I was a coach, I would say to my lads, right, our biggest lad picks their biggest lad up, and we do it down the hill then.
Yeah.
If your man scores, your fault. I see too many Everton players now concede the goal and they stand around looking at one another as if to say, well,
which zone should have clear?
As it was I can't remember which manager just said it, but it was I think it might have been Alex Fraser. Name one zone that scored a goal.
Yeah, true.
Players score goals, not zones.
Yeah,
you know, and too many times, and this is one of my biggest criticisms of Michael Keane, without wanting to single out an individual, he gets caught flat-footed too many times, and he gets caught underneath the ball in zonal marking because he's in his zone. He doesn't sort of like step out of his zone to be able to attack
the ball
in his zone. So he's in his zone and he's flat-footed. And you know as well as I do, any centre half that's flat-footed is a centre forward's dream.
Oh, jeez. Yeah,
isn't it?
It is. It really is.
And I'm not just picking him out.
No, all you're doing is highlighting the zone.
That's why I was pleased with the signing of Tarkowski, because I think he's a proper old school centre half style player.
Yes. Well, you saw it at the end of the Arsenal game where
I'm all for that, mate.
Where he didn't like a certain certain chat, so he give it to somebody, and then the tackle was there, and he give it to them again.
And that's one of the things I think we've lacked for many, many years. Somebody go, right, no, not having that.
Yeah.
You want to pick on one of us, you pick on all of us.
Yeah.
Because that's the way I was brought up playing football.
Yeah.
I'm sure you were.
Of course.
All the clubs you played at.
Of course.
You know, all for one and one for all and all of that. You know, and the other night, I did chuckle. I thought, right, he'll do for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think, like, we need, and again, no criticism of Seamus at all, but we need a leader with a bit of. Seamus is a lovely lad. He's a nice guy.
Top lad. Yeah.
You know, and I'm sure that I've seen him stand up for the lads on the pitch. You know, when he's called people names and that. But he's not. I want to see a bit of devilmans in there. You know, a bit of come on, then. Like
a bit of nastiness. There's got to be a bit of. And listen, at the end of the day, it might not come from Seamus. It may come from somebody else. But I think throughout that team, and that actually puts me on to the last point about the new signings. New signings need to come in, and there needs to be a little bit of devilment in. Tarkowski's got it for sure.
Yeah. There is, mate, but that's my biggest fear. I mean, there's more news coming, and I know it's all speculation, and you know, you read conflicting reports from the conflicting journalists. But to me, the actual lack of activity is now beginning to worry me. We're 3 weeks away from the kickoff, and without being disparaging to anybody who's at the club already now, that squad, without the fans fully behind it, they weren't good enough.
Yeah.
And if they're hit with the same situation this season, I fear they will react in exactly the same way. And then at the end of it's up to us to support the club as fans.
Yeah.
But it's also, it's on the players to give the fans something to support. And we didn't get that for a lot of the last season. Firstly, the first 2/3. But I'm looking at our squad now, and I'm not saying, okay, we've offloaded individuals, which, without naming names, we all knew who they are, and we all knew they had to go.
Yeah.
There are still players there who, in my opinion, we need to be saying thanks for your service, but no, you can't do what we need you to do to get us to be up the top of the league. You can keep us in and around the bottom half, but
where we want to go.
You know what I mean? And I was excited. I know one or two people without sort of names off, and I heard various names being linked. Right, and I'm going, oh yeah, great. And I was told, I heard a couple of stories that it's dependent on Everton stay up. And I fully understood that, because if you're a young up-and-coming player,
you don't
want to make a name for yourself, you're not going to do it. And you've already done it in the Championship, shall we say. Why stay there another 12 months when there'll be other suitors? I can fully understand that. But I just fear, and I won't go into too much details because I don't want to put you in a position. I just don't have any faith in the hierarchy of this club to bring in the quality of player that we need right at this time to get us challenging. Not for challenging for the league. I'm not that stupid, but to give us a chance of winning. I've always said all along, we can't win. We're not equipped to win the league.
A cup team, to win a cup.
Target a cup, because that's what we want. And who knows? That's how it happened with.
That's how it starts. That's how it starts.
You win something. You believe you can win something, then you go and it snowballs. But at this moment in time, I don't blame the man. My fear is, again, people go, "Oh, he's rolled off, he's off again." But my fear is he will not be backed, because I'm seeing today Everton have now had to sort of change their targets in the transfer window, because they can't agree deals with the players they initially wanted. So that means if we're changing our targets, they're downgrading them. And do we need, and I'm not naming names because I don't want to, sort of be critical of any professional footballer because getting paid to play the game and, I'm sitting in the stand criticising him. But some of the names we're being linked with, to whom we were being linked with, worries me. And then I heard that a certain individual is now conducting Everton's transfer negotiations, and any Evertonian who knows me on social media or personally will tell you, and I'm talking about, I have no faith in the man.
Exactly who, yeah.
I have no faith in the man whatsoever. I don't doubt him as an Evertonian.
Mm-hmm.
I don't doubt his love for Everton Football Club. He's done his job. He's served his purpose. But to me, he's obsolete now for Everton Football Club. You can't be, well, we're Everton, because
that's not enough anymore. That's what you're saying.
So what? And that's where it, and then we know what the situation is financially, but we don't know how bad it was because we're now hearing, well, we're trying to conduct loan deals with it. I don't know how true.
Well, Vaughanie, let's put it this way. I've got one more question to ask, and because we're up against the time right now.
Hey, bud.
How many new players do Everton need?
I would say 4, possibly 5. Now,
I say Everton needs 6.
No, I wouldn't disagree.
I say Everton needs 6.
I think we need somebody up front. We need a striker with a bit of mobility. Calum Lewin can play as a target man, and he can do the job well. He can't do the stuff Richie used to do, not for me anyway.
Yeah.
And we need that style of player who can drag defenders around. And, Big Dom will be great. You go up against big centre, he troubles them. He does. But, he can knock it into him, and he can, on his day, when he's having a decent day, he can hold it up well and bring people into play. But what we need is people who can just run beyond him and get defenders turned. We need that style striker.
1 striker, 1 wide man, 2 in midfield, and 2 defenders.
Yeah,
minimum. That's minimum.
Yeah, we definitely need legs and people who can carry the ball going forward and make us a threat. We've got to turn us into a goal threat.
Well, Vaughanie, here's what I'm going to say to you. World Cup time. Let's do this again midway through the season.
Definitely, mate. Definitely.
Listen, it's always been a pleasure speaking to you, Vaughanie.
Yeah, same with you, mate.
Look after yourself and up the toffees, you know that.
Yeah, I said, mate, next time you're up, we'll get together. Yeah.
Okay, lovely.
All right, buddy.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah, loved it. See you soon, bud.
Bye.
Ta-ra now.